Hello, my name's Alan Foom, and today I'm going to talk about the difference between a CV or a resume and a LinkedIn profile. So this is something put together by a fellow coach of mine called Pat Hartwell, and I'm going to take her ideas and just explain what it is. Now, LinkedIn is the big picture. So you see a big vista and you can put a lot of information in there to draw people in. It's the landing page to your social media profile. A CV or resume gives you focus, so you're focusing directly on a specific solution that you can offer to a specific problem for a specific job. And also we have something called a Tell Me About Yourself, which is a Zoom, which is a technique you use to sell yourself in a social networking situation. It's quite often the first question people ask you at interviews, so tell me about yourself. And I've got a video on that on my channel. So this is something put together by the Career Service of the University of Manchester, which I've sort of taken on and done a few extras with that. And we're going to talk about all of these individually. So difference between the CV and a resume. So narrowcasting versus broadcasting, specific versus generic, static versus dynamic, active versus passive, photos and extras versus no photos and extras, text versus multimedia, limited size, UK tradition, versus limitless, or effectively limitless. But the both must be consistent and complement each other. So we'll go through this bit by bit on an individual basis. So broadcasting versus narrowcasting. CV is a focused document aimed at a specific audience. And you will create several different CVs for different types of role. The person I was coaching, David, he had multiple skills. He had skills as a contact center manager, a project manager, a program manager, and a customer relations manager. And when he was applying for different sorts of roles, he would focus on each one of those specific skill sets. Although he does have an awful lot to offer, and he's now working in children's protection, which is something he is very valuable in. You can, however, have general CVs which are posted on job boards such as Indeed, Monster, etc. That's a little bit different, but generally you would try to be specific for a specific role, specific hiring manager, specific audience. Whereas a LinkedIn profile is general broadcasting, so you have one profile for all to see. Now, if you've got multiple skills, there's various ways of dealing with that, and we'll show that in a minute. So tailoring versus one size. So CV is bespoke for each job application, focusing on skills experience that are stated in the job description. You could add a few extras in there, but basically what somebody is looking for, recruiters, they're ticking boxes. And a CV header would include his job title. Whereas a LinkedIn profile, as we said before, is general broadcasting, one profile for all to see, but the LinkedIn user lists a multitude of skills. So how do you do that? So these are headlines which you use in a LinkedIn profile to describe yourself. So indication who you are. Most people just give the current position. So second person on the list, she's a lead development geologist at Total. She's a damn good lead development geologist at Total. She's got wide-scale experience, Class 6 carbonates, delivers the goods, absolutely lovely lady, great person to work with, solves your problem. Does that say that, her headline? Just says what she does. It doesn't bring what she can actually offer, and she is a great geologist. The top line is the multi-headers. This person, you can clearly tell what he does and what he has to offer. So designing learning academies, strategy and HR, managing change, developing talent, coaching, HR projects, and that's what this person does. So that's what he does. Oh dear. For the third one, she happens to be a damn good, diligent data manager who's delivered the goods for me in the past. Absolutely a lovely person, and I'm sorry, but you really need a better headline to describe how good you actually really are. And then the last guy, well, if you've ever met him, you'd feel the positivity that this guy has to offer. But again, the headline that I would recommend on a LinkedIn profile is something like this, which shows you the skills that you have. Another way of putting headlines is describing what you actually do. So I generate sales volumes, for example. That's fine. Not personally for me, but I can see how much value that can bring to some people. Static versus dynamic. CV is a static document. It's a snapshot, a photo, plain black and white paper. I wouldn't put fancy graphics in there because applicant tracking systems hate them. Although human beings quite like them. If I see it as a human being, I think quite like it. But if it has to go through ATS, the ATS will spit it out and no human being will actually see it. Whereas a LinkedIn profile is a dynamic and evolving picture. It's effectively a set of live videos or a set of time motions. You'll include your posts, articles, etc. to showcase who you are. And I'll talk a little bit about articles later. CVs in the UK traditionally have 2 pages. Plain text, no photos, etc. I know it's different in other countries. For instance, some countries like photos. And format we would recommend at Springboard would be a short summary, skills and achievements, work experience, education, and something about others, volunteering. But LinkedIn profile includes photos, can include multimedia, can be any length. For instance, if you have a long publication list, like a former colleague of mine, she's got that on her LinkedIn profile. It'll include your career, education, volunteering, etc. But the summary is the key thing to describing who you are. So I'll talk a little bit about the summary. So it's the first thing people look at. So it needs to include who you are, your key skills, your main experience, your most searched keyword terms if you have them. I know an IT person that effectively has blitzed all the IT languages and all the IT programs that he's worked on, so that will always be picked up in search. Achievements, but you need to respect business confidentiality and basically summarize what you have to offer somebody. So effectively this is your tell me about yourself or your teammate. And a key thing to bear in mind if you're looking at LinkedIn is the mobile devices, the first 3 lines are what's visible, so make them memorable. Other things that you can include in your summary is, for example, examples of your work. So if you're an architect, here's a building I designed. If you're a geologist like me, you can describe areas of the world where you work. So this is a map of all the projects I worked on in my career, so all around the world. So apologies, I haven't worked Australia, I haven't worked mainland USA, but I've done pretty much everything else. Another thing to bear in mind with LinkedIn is photos, and there's a really good article called the Handbook of Rather Bad LinkedIn Pictures. And please do not have a picture like that. Just have a normal standard head and shoulders shot where you look businesslike, professional and friendly. Yes, I promise not to bring the hawk to the office, and I'm not an adrenaline accountant. You know people like that. Another thing that LinkedIn has to offer to bring in is posts and articles to make yourself visible. So you can write either articles or short posts to enhance your credibility. Best would be relevant, not too long. Try to use graphics because it makes it a little punchy. Infographics in particular work well. And if you see other people's posts that you like, you can share them, comment on them constructively. And if you are somebody who thinks in PowerPoint, you can either put stuff in SlideShare, alternatively now on LinkedIn, you can post PDFs. And readers, when inevitably click on your profile. Raises your credibility, raises that you understand things. Again, can't do that with a CV. So just to sum up, we've got difference between CV and a LinkedIn profile. Again, narrowcasting versus broadcasting, specific versus one profile, static versus dynamic, active, sent out, passive, open for gathering in, photos, no photos, text, multimedia, 2-page limit in the UK. I know some traditions have it longer, but LinkedIn is limitless apart from your summary, which I think is 2,000 words, although that might be 2,000 characters. You can add extras that you can't fit on a CV, but the key point is they must both be consistent, complement each other, to work together, to sell you, to sell what you have to offer, sell what you have to deliver. Thank you very much.